In this video we're going to be testing out one of the cheapest autofocus 50mm F1.4 lenses on the market. That's right, this is the Brightin Star autofocus 50mm. Let's take a look at it. So straight off the bat I'm going to tell you that this lens comes in at a price of just over 200 UK pounds, which for an autofocus lens is cheap as chips. Now, as previously stated, this is a 50mm f1.4 lens and it's mainly made of a metal construction. It also comes supplied with its own sun hood, and my initial impressions are that it feels higher quality than its price point. The focus ring is nice and smooth, and there's also a weight to the lens that I was not expecting. Normally when you get cheap lenses they feel very light. This lens actually feels quite substantial. Now, the lens is made up of 12 elements in 8 groups, and it has a 58mm filter thread. It's worth noting that it is missing any kind of weather sealing gasket, but it does come with a USB-C port for firmware updates. Right, that's enough of the technical waffle for now. Let's take it out onto the streets of London and see how it fares. So we're here in central London. We've got the Brightin Star 50mm f1.4. We're going to be going around checking out its optical quality and also checking out that autofocus system. So let's go see what we can find. I'll be using the lens on a Sony a6700, but it's worth noting that the lens also comes in Fuji X mount and Nikon Z mount. With this lens paired up with a Sony aps-c camera, it feels very nice and complementary, and they match each other perfectly. You could almost mistake this lens for a native Sony lens. So the build quality, size and weight of this lens are excellent, but how good is its optical quality, and what's its autofocus performance really like? Well, let's find out. And my first impressions are, I'm pleasantly surprised. At this price point, I must admit that my expectations were very low. I didn't think the optical quality was going to be this good. Now, all the sample images taken with this lens and camera are going to be JPEG straight out of camera with the white balance set to auto. But let me know your thoughts on these images in the comment section below. Let's see what else we can find. Now, it's the end of November and it's certainly winter time here in London, as you can see from the Christmas markets. Now, I'm recording these clips with an action camera, and as a little game I'd like you to have a guess what action camera you think this is. Put your answers in the comment section below. Anybody that does get it correct will win a 10-year subscription to this channel by clicking on the red button below. Now, this lens is designed for aps-c camera bodies, and with its 50mm focal length, its main strengths are portrait photography, product photography and street photography. Now, being a 50mm lens, which equates to a 75mm on a full frame camera, this means we don't have to get particularly close to our subject. So if you are someone that's a little bit hesitant in placing a camera in front of someone's face, then this is definitely a focal length worth considering. And because it is a 50mm f1.4 aps-c camera lens, you get that awesome subject separation from the background, which everybody loves. Now, the autofocus system built into this lens performed well, but nowhere near the same speed as the latest Sony lenses. There's the very slightest delay from when you press the focus button to when it hits focus. Should you be worried about this? Probably not, unless you're taking really fast-paced action photos. It's also worth me mentioning that with the Sony's face and eye detection autofocus system, that it worked flawlessly with this lens and never once missed focus. Now, if you're enjoying this type of content, please consider giving it a big thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Right, before we go any further, I think it's important that we really test out the optical quality of this lens, so let's take a closer look. So starting at f1.4, center sharpness is great, but if we look in the far corners, it can only be described as soft. We also get a small amount of vignetting. Stepping down to f1.8, we lose a little bit of that vignetting, but the corners remain soft. At f2.8 we almost lose all that vignetting and we get a nice boost in corner sharpness, and center sharpness becomes incredible. At f4 we get another increase in corner sharpness. Stepping down to f5.6 and the corners become razor sharp. And center sharpness is just incredible. This is definitely the sweet spot for this lens. Now stepping down to f8, f11 and f16, it remains razor sharp. Now the minimum focus distance with this lens was about 45 centimeters. So any type of macro work with this lens unfortunately is out the question. Now as for video autofocus performance, we was using the Sony a6700 with face detection on. And to push the lens to its absolute maximum, we set the aperture to f1.4. And this is the results that you can expect. Let me know what you think to this in the comment section below. In my opinion, it performed fantastically. So where does this leave us then with the Brightin Star 50mm f1.4? Well, as I said at the start of the video, coming in at just over £200, my expectations for this lens were very low. I thought the autofocus system was going to be pants and that the image quality was going to be soft as a sponge, but Brightin Star has proved me completely wrong. Its optical quality, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. Even at f1.4, center sharpness is great. Okay, the edges are slightly softer, but who really is taking photos of their subjects in the far corners of their image? Not forgetting also that in our image testing, we was pixel peeping. The autofocus system built into this lens is also more than acceptable. Okay, it may not be as fast as the latest Sony lenses, but shooting with the lens for a whole day, it never missed focus once. So to sum up this lens, if you're after a fast 50mm lens that isn't going to break the bank account, then definitely check out the Brightin Star 50mm f1.4. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'll leave links to this very lens in the description and in the top pinned comment. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're into your camera lens reviews or camera tech reviews, hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel is all about. And we'll catch you in the next video. See you soon everyone.